Hey folks, be looking for some brand new regulation and legislation to combat knife violence because of what just happened in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Let's go ahead and roll that intro.
Here's the deal.
In pursuit of a Mazda heading south on 3 Points Road.
Here's the deal.
This was uploaded, I think, February 13th, yesterday, by KRQE, I think in Albuquerque. But look at this. There was a stabbing spree, and we need to talk about this. It seems that a dastardly knife jumped off the shelf, possibly an assault knife, jumped off the shelf and started hurting a whole bunch of people. Looks like we need some new legislation to control all that knife violence out here.
Good evening. We begin tonight with breaking news. 11 people were stabbed in southeastern Albuquerque earlier today in a stabbing spree lasting 3 hours. KRQE News 13.
A stabbing spree lasting 3 hours. We're going to read some really, really good comments in this video afterwards, but can you imagine that? A single person with a knife goes on a stabbing spree, stabbing 11 people in the course of 3 hours.
Gabe Chavez is here with the latest.
It was a tense scene across the metro after nearly a dozen people were stabbed along a miles-long stretch of Central Avenue, leaving at least 7 different crime scenes.
We didn't know at the time that it may be related, but there was a report of stabbing at or near the Sister Bar downtown on Central.
The stabbings began at 11 this morning. Police say the first one happened at the Sister Bar on Central in downtown Albuquerque. Officers did not think anything of it at the time until the next call came in.
A little later, there was a report of a stabbing at Central and Harvard in the UNM area.
Then a third one took place at around 1 p.m. in front of the Sundowner Apartments. The fourth one on Central and Pennsylvania was where someone was stabbed in the neck. The last 3 attacks at the McDonald's Circle K on Wyoming and Central, with 5 victims, one at Central in Vermont and another down on Wyoming and Domingo just outside a restaurant. In total, officers were looking at 7 different crime scenes.
Another person at Wyoming and Domingo. There was a family there eating at the time. One person was stabbed.
Police were able to find the suspect on Lomas around 2 this afternoon.
Remember, when seconds count, police are minutes away. Somebody pulls that knife out and goes after you or your family. What are you going to do? Have you prepared yourself? Do you have self-defense measures in place? Do you have one of the things that empowers you the most in this world, at least at the present time, until they invent something different? Do you have a firearm? Do you know how to use it? Have you trained with it?
And were able to take him in.
Officers approached him on his bike. They were prepared to use less lethal options to take him into custody, but he got off his bike, got down on his in a prone position, and they took him into custody without any use of force.
Police say the many crime scenes are making it.
We took him down without any use of force. But the Mesa Police Department took Daniel Shaver, who didn't harm anybody, with extreme use of force. And while they were at it for his troubles, they ended his life while he was begging for his life. But they took this guy out, no problem, no issues. He submitted. Well, Daniel Shaver was submitting. Philando Castile was submitting.
A difficult case to track as they struggle to find a reason.
They appear to be random, yeah. I mean, there was someone who was involved in an accident down here in Central. The person just came up and said they were stabbed. There doesn't seem to be any rhyme or reason at this point.
Police located him.
Wouldn't it be great to see a cop up there go, so what you need to do, guys, what you need to do, I don't care where you are, you need to go out, you need to find yourself a good firearm. And plenty of ammunition, because you're going to want to train with that firearm. So if something like this happens and the police can't get there, because by the way, guys, we don't get there until after the crime is committed, about 98% of the time. So you're on your own. You people are on your own. It's better to have a firearm and not need it than to need it and not have it. Wouldn't it be great to hear a guy go, you know what? We just can't get there. We don't have the resources. And by the way, the Supreme Court has already said that, it's not our duty to protect you. Even if you have something, you know, like a restraining order, like in Gonzalez versus Castle Rock. Mrs. Gonzalez had a restraining order against Mr. Gonzalez because she didn't want him near her kids. He takes her kids against the restraining order, drives the kids to the police station. Little do people know until after the gunfight was over, because they ended up ending Mr. Gonzalez's life. But the 3 kids that there was a restraining order against them being close to were dead in his car when the firefight was over. So in Gonzalez versus Castle Rock, in the context of somebody actually putting out a restraining order, in that context, the Supreme Court declared, you know, it's not the cop's job to protect you. Even though it says to protect and serve. Well, that's not your job. Your job isn't to protect and serve. What should their job be? To safeguard individual liberties. But they're not going to get there in time. Like I said, when seconds count, and seconds do count, when an armed gunman or a knife-wielding maniac is coming toward your table where you're trying to eat breakfast with your family, when seconds count, police are minutes away.
A large knife on the suspect. They have not yet released their name or the charges that they will be facing. Back to you.
So I wanted to read a couple of these pretty good comments under this video. This person right here says, I'm not saying this is a good comment. Just another day in Albuquerque. Our lawmakers, judges, and prosecutors have failed to keep us safe. Guess what, Raymond Mayers? It's not their job to keep you safe. As a matter of fact, they're there to make you insecure in your person's houses, papers, and effects. They're there to take away your safety. That's what lawmakers, judges, and prosecutors do. They're out there just to fill the coffers of the state so they can enrich state power. Our lawmakers, judges, and prosecutors have failed to keep us safe, while our brave officers, you're not brave when you're tasing somebody in the privates like they did to Johnny Wheatcroft for just sitting in a, I think it was a La Mesa, La Quinta Inn with his family, doing nothing wrong. Wasn't even in the driver's seat. The car wasn't even moving. Johnny Wheatcroft was in the passenger side car, and they tased him and tortured him in front of his children. That's not being brave. That is a coward. Most cops are cowards. That's how they display themselves, and you can see it in example after example after example on the internet. Must deal with repeat offenders. Don't tell me this person doesn't already have a criminal record. Probably does. Who knows? This guy says the U.S. Federal Supreme Court has ruled on 2 separate occasions. I think it's Gonzalez versus Castle Rock and DeShaney versus Winnebago County, that police have no duty to protect individuals or nor liability for failing to protect them, aka the worst possible form of security imaginable that you have no choice but to fund through taxes. And here we see the results. Well said. Well said. They should have done a crime alert so people would know what was going on in that area. This is exactly why it's important to carry. Amen. Do you want to be empowered? Then empower yourself. Don't rely on lawmakers. Can you imagine a lawmaker going out there going, you know what? This would not have happened if we had more laws in place. We need to craft a law. We need to sprinkle the magic pixie dust of the legislative process over a brand new bill that we can make into a law called the, Against Knife Violence Act. Protecting the community from knife violence. It wasn't knife violence. It was a maniac wielding a knife, causing a bunch of disturbance in the community. This is exactly why it's important to carry. Police are only hours away when seconds count. Just exactly what we said. Sad. No laws. The police arrest them and judges turn them loose. No laws. There's no law against. Why would you have to have a specific law for somebody in the community that goes rogue and starts wielding a knife and just starts stabbing people in the neck? Why would you have to have a law against that? Isn't it known that that's criminal activity? You don't have to have a specific. And if they walk through a state fair with a number 2 pencil stabbing people in the back, you don't need specific laws. Everybody knows that what that guy did was criminal activity. If he's engaged in criminal activity, then he's a criminal. If he's a criminal, he needs to be brought to justice. And then society will take care of that. It must be the semi-automatic Jim Bowie knife. Who says don't bring a knife to a gunfight? Gun regulations obviously wouldn't have prevented the crimes, but concealed carry may have. Amen. And that's why I'm saying that cop should have stood behind the podium and said, hey, if you don't want this to happen to you, if you want to diminish the likeliness that something like this would happen to you, get a good firearm, plenty of ammunition, learn how to use it, teach your family members how to use theirs, and now you'll be empowered when you go out to eat at that Denny's restaurant or wherever. After the 10th stabbing, police said we may have a connection. It seems like cops are better at giving tickets than actually protecting and serving. There you go right there. Good job. Good job, Daryl. Good job, Daryl. Exactly. They're way better at giving tickets and increasing the state funding and fulfilling their quota than they are at actually protecting and serving. I don't know. Crazy stuff. Leave your thoughts about this. If you were in the Albuquerque area and you were around those areas where those 11 stabbings occur, I'd like to hear from you.